Welcome to the Sales Influence Podcast, where we talk about finding the why in how people buy. I'm your host, Victor Antonio. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for, as always, lending me those beautiful ears. Today, I want to talk about using a word, just one word, that will help you have a better price increase conversation. I know what you're thinking. One word, not possible, Victor, not possible. I am saying it is possible. Let me take you back to 1977, where a psychologist by the name of Ellen Langer and her research team at Harvard University conducted an interesting study. Now, imagine, if you will, that people are lined up at a copier, right? They're lined up at a copier, and what they wanted to test out was which line for cutting in on that line would be most effective. The first version they tried was a request only. They said, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine?" And guess what? 60% of the people said, sure, right? Then the second request. This is a request with a reason. They said, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine because I'm in a rush?" That was the reason. I'm in a rush. And believe it or not, just by adding a reason, it went from 60% compliance to 94% compliance. Let me say that again. By adding a reason, because I'm in a rush, they went from 60% compliance, in other words, letting people butt in, to 94%. But then they wanted to test out one more thing. Version number 3, requests, the same request, but this time with a fake reason. And it went like this: "Excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine because I have to make copies?" Well, of course, that's why you're at the copy machine. In other words, "I have to make copies" has no value. But even with that fake excuse, the compliance rate was still 93%, only 1 point drop. So in other words, if you just use an excuse or a request, you say, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages, may I use the Xerox machine?" You'll get a 60% compliance. But if you use the request with a reason, especially a real reason, you'll get 94% compliance. And here's what Langer and her team figured out: that the key trigger word for compliance here is the word because. When you use the word because and then give them a reason, people tend to comply more. Now, what's fascinating about this study is that we could use it when it comes to actually raising the price. So, because is a compliance trigger. Let's get that straight. So when a client knows the reason for the price increase and it sounds reasonable, their resistance to the price increase decreases. Let me say that again. When a client knows the reason for the price increase and it sounds reasonable, that's a key part here, by the way, it sounds reasonable, their resistance to a price increase decreases. For example, let's kind of put it in context here. For example, let's say you say, "Mr. Klein, we need to increase our prices because," and then you insert a good reason. Now, a good reason sounds something like this: "Mr. Client, we need to increase our price because in today's economic environment, inflation and supply chain issues are driving up the cost of everything. And in order for us to remain profitable and serve you, Mr. Customer, we're going to have to increase the price." Now, that is a good reason. Here's a bad reason. "Mr. Client, we need to increase our price because we're opening up a new facility." Now, the reason that's a bad reason is that it doesn't tie back to why it's important to the client. So again, keep this in mind. By inserting the word because with the reason, clients will be more likely to kind of accept your price increase if and only if your reason following because is a good reason. Try it out and let me know how that works for you. This is Victor Antonio. Again, that's it for the Sales Influence Podcast. Leave me some feedback on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you find me. And after you do that, check out the Sales Velocity Academy. We've added some new courses, and if you want to learn how to sell more faster, go to salesvelocityacademy.com. Again, this is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, sell and think hard because you know how. Take care. Hi, I'm Victor Antonio. I'm an author, sales trainer, and keynote speaker. I'm often asked, what makes a great speaker? Is it someone who delivers real content that the audience can use? Is it someone who engages the audience so they're part of the learning experience? Or is it someone who can motivate an audience to push them beyond their comfort zone and discover new abilities? The answer is yes. But the most important thing to remember is that I'm not there to look good. I'm there to make my client look good. Simply put, it's never about me, and it's always about them.